All right. We are live on YouTube. I'm just waiting on the video to connect on my other monitor over here so that I can grab that link and put it inside of our free business mastermind group so that they can easily and conveniently join us here on the YouTube live. All right, looks like that link is ready. So let me grab that. Okay, and let me put this in the group. Okay, that is posting and cycling through. And while it's doing that, I want to go back to where I have YouTube Live to make sure that I can see the live chat so that anybody viewing us live that wants to talk to us and correspond with us, I can see what you're saying. So I got that going on. All right. I think we are ready. You may be making money, but do you know why? Do you know how? Can you consistently repeat and even increase your sales? Today, we're answering the question, how do I create sales consistently and on purpose? So we're going to talk about the answer to that, which is data-driven decisions for increasing sales conversions. And this is coming from this week's blog, Key Data to Drive Your Small Business Revenue. If you want to follow along, the blog is located at shaycannon.com/data. That is shaycannon.com/data. So this week, what we're talking about is us filling in the gaps of all of the morning shows we've had over the past 2 or 3 years so that we can look on past morning shows and use them as a huge resource to grow our business, increase our revenue, and all the things in the future, because we're about to end our live morning show next month. So I came up with the fact that we talk about KPIs, we talk about data, we talk about making data-driven decisions, but I understand that you guys don't have a lot of time to collect a lot of data and review a lot of data, and therefore you're not making data-driven decisions. So this week, I'm telling you what you need to focus on when it comes to your data. If you cannot collect and review all data, you need to collect and review and make decisions based on the data we're talking about this week, because this is the data that's going to drive your business forward. Okay. So on Monday was part one. We talked about marketing data for new leads specifically. We talked about why it's important. We talked about the actual data that you need to be collecting and how to use them to make data-driven decisions so that you get more new leads and have more new people to sell to. Okay, you even got 2 ChatGPT prompts for that. If you need that information, go back to part one for Monday. Part two was yesterday on Tuesday. We talked about data that is around or surrounding and related to qualified leads. We can get leads in from anywhere, right? But are they sales qualified leads? Because those are the type of leads that end up buying our offers. We don't want just anybody on our list. We don't want just anybody following us. We want people that are going to be potential clients in the future. So we talked about what a sales qualified lead was, why it's important. We talked about the data around making sure you have qualified leads, and you got those 2 ChatGPT prompts to help you with that. Today is part 3, okay? We're talking about sales conversion. We tapped on it just a little bit on yesterday, but we're diving into it today because converting leads into sales, okay? Converting is what we're doing with the conversion, is super important for our business. Without that, we have those, what they call that expensive hobby, because we're not making money, okay? So let's start talking about this data around sales conversion. The moment of truth that reveals whether your message, offer, and audience are truly in sync is sales. This stage isn't about pressure or persuasion. It's about positioning. When someone has already shown interest and connection to your offer, the sales process simply tests how well your business communicates the value and delivers confidence in the transformation. That's all your sales is, right? Are you communicating well the value of what they're supposed to be buying? And are you delivering confidence in the transformation they will get? That's what drives sales. So if qualified leads aren't becoming paying clients, the issue is not visibility, it's clarity in messaging. So sales performance tells you whether your business is easy to buy from, whether your promise feels believable, and whether your structure supports the actual conversion from lead to sale. At its core, sales data doesn't just measure success, it exposes the truth about how well your business turns opportunity into outcome. Okay, that's what's at the blog. Here on the morning show, I give you more. So, let me pull up these show notes. And I'm going to share my screen again because I've been giving y'all more than just simple stuff so I want you to be able to look at and hear me share it. So let me share my screen. All right. So we're talking about data-driven decisions for increasing sales conversion. If you will remember, all week I've been sharing helpful past blogs. So when it comes to data, I shared a blog that was about the data to optimize your offer. Okay. Then I told you about a past blog about data surrounding the lead funnels. Okay. That's your tofu, mofu, bofu. All right. Today, I added 3 more around sales. We have a past blog about the psychology of pricing. We have a past blog about the psychology of sales. And we have a past blog about down sales, cross sales, and up sales. So all of these things can help you with sales conversion to help you get more data, okay, and help you to be more successful. But let's get into our top 10 strategies for data-driven decisions for increasing sales conversions, okay? The first set of data you want to collect is your sales conversion rate. We talked about this yesterday, right? You need to know what is your sales conversion rate. Out of you talking to 100 people, what is the average number of people are you going to be able to actually sell into your offer? You need to know this number. So the percentage of qualified leads who move from interest to purchase, you're successful with your sales conversion rate when your close rate stays consistent and starts to rise even when lead volume fluctuates. Okay. Now, what that means is you can have fewer people in the room, but your sales can remain consistent because it really isn't about the number of people you're trying to sell to. Okay. It's really about how well are you converting sales, because you can have a smaller percentage of a sales closing rate in a room full of people. But then if you have a more intimate room where people, that like, know, and trust is kind of garnered quicker, you could sell almost everybody in that room of a smaller audience and still have a better closing rate. So that's what it means by when the volume fluctuates. Okay. So your sales conversion is unsuccessful when you're holding more calls and sending out more proposals, getting in front of more people, and your revenue just is not increasing. So one thing you can do to help that is review your buyer journey for moments of hesitation from that lead. Clarify sales faster than, I'm going to say, make sure that the connection is there. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. Because people buy from who they like, know, and trust, right? So make sure that connection is there. And then the second thing you're going to have to do is what we already talked about. Make sure that you're communicating the value of the offer and that they now have confidence in the transformation. This is how we get sales. This is how we undo that unsuccess in our sales conversion rate. All right. Number 2. The data you need to be looking at is sales page engagement to purchase ratio. And all that means is the number of people that actually are hitting your sales page versus the number that are buying from that sales page. So the relationship between visitors who meaningfully engage with your sales page, that could be the scroll depth, that could be the time on the page, that could be the areas that they are hovering in on the sales page, that could be them clicking on the sales page, and those who purchase. Okay. Because if you got these people that are involved in the sales page, that means they were interested enough to learn more. But how many of those interested, engaged people actually bought? Now, success looks like a high ratio showing that once people read it, they buy it, right? Once they interact with it, they buy it. Once they engage with it, they buy it. Unsuccessful is people land on your page but bounce away before reaching any offer details, before clicking any buttons and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So that is your website bounce rate. When people come on your website and bounce away, it's a little different than your email bounce rate. Okay. So how we can help this is we need to measure where readers stop. Your value story might not be connecting with them, or the call to actions might not be strong enough. Maybe you're discouraged and not enough about the transformation or what they're going to get. But this is why I like to have my sales pages on my website, and then the button takes them to the cart that's on my Go High Level. I do not build my sales pages in Go High Level because I have Microsoft Clarity. Okay. Microsoft Clarity is a free product that allows you to put a heat map on your website. Okay. And so because I have a heat map on my website, I can then go and see on that sales page, where are people going with their eyes, with their mouse, their cursor, and where they're dropping off. Where is the most concentration of where people are reading? It gives you videos of how they're scrolling through and what they're looking at, and at what point do they go off of your page. Okay. And they have heat maps out there that you can buy to put on any website. But if you build your sales page on your website, you can use Microsoft Clarity for free. So think about that. All right. Data set number 3 is going to be your close rate by offer. Okay. So not just your close rate all around, but your close rate by each of your offers that's on your offer ladder. So the percentage of closed sales by specific service or specific offer. Success looks like your top offers convert faster with less resistance, but you also know what those top offers are. Now, unsuccessful looks like an offer attracts interest, but rarely leads to commitment. Okay. And so how you can try to fix that is analyze which offers your audience trusts the most and which ones tend to confuse them or that they're not buying. Because what that's telling us is when we look at our offers monthly, quarterly, annually, we need to know there's offers that are not converting. So we need to replace those offers. Okay. Or we need to make them better. Some type of way it needs to change. All right. The 4th data set is sales by channel, okay? Tracking what avenues, is it emails, is it DMs, is it when you host a sales event, is it when you have discovery calls, is it through the funnel, is it when you go speak and then you pitch at the end? Which way or resource or channel is getting you the most sales? So success looks like certain channels show higher conversions and shorter decision timelines, and unsuccessful looks like heavy effort in a channel that doesn't yield you sales. Okay. So how do we fix that? Well, you focus your time and your energy where the sales data proves that you have an audience that is responsive and buying. All right. Because again, especially us solopreneurs, we already are doing everything and we are everything in our business. We need to make sure that our efforts count. And this is why we need to be data-driven decision makers, okay? Because every effort takes something out of us that we can't replace. We can't get that time back. Right? If you're hiring a team, you're paying for that time. So we need to know what we're doing is working. And if you're not gathering data, you don't actually know what's working. You just have a feeling of what's working, and feelings can waste money. All right. The 5th set of data that we need to be collecting and making decisions with is average order value. Okay. Average order value. What does it mean? The average amount of money per transaction in your client purchase. Okay. Success looks like that the AOV is steadily increasing as clients choose higher value packages and add-ons. Unsuccessful looks like you're stuck selling lower ticket options with no natural progression to go up to your main option or to go up to an upsell. All right. So the tip to kind of help with this is examine how your perceived value matches your pricing and consistent underpricing and how that's dragging down the average order value. Okay. But also, do you even have an offer ladder? Or do you even have like tripwires and add-ons or cross sales in your business to where when they go to one cart, it also tells them, hey, people that buy this also buy this. Or you bought this, would you like this? That's increasing the average order value. This is why I included a link to the past blog where we talked about down sales, cross sales, and upsells, because you can't increase an average order value if you only have one thing for them to buy. That means the only option they have is that one thing. How are you going to increase that order if they only have one thing to choose from? Okay. Number 6, discovery to close ratio. All right. What is this talking about? Well, if you're like me and you have discovery calls, or if you do free consults and that type of thing, how many sales are converted from you doing those calls? We need to know, because maybe you need to stop doing discovery calls, or maybe you need to look at how you're doing the discovery calls. Okay. Success looks like a consistent, predictable ratio that turns most conversations into clients. Okay. Conversations into clients. Unsuccessful looks like you're having great conversations, but at the end, they talking about, I'll think about it. You get more I think about it than you do sign me up. All right. So how can you kind of add and change that a little bit? Review how clearly your call is connecting the client to their pain points and their specific and your specific solution, because clarity converts faster than enthusiasm. Okay. You can be excited about your offer, but they need to be clear on how it helps them. And you need to be working on those sales objections, but we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So that's that. Another thing I want to tell you about discovery calls is free discovery calls should be about you discovering what their problems are, you discovering which of your solutions will help to solve that problem, and them discovering more about you to see if they want to work with you. You discovering more about them to see if you want to work with them. It is not the time to be giving people free strategy or teaching them how to do anything, because they're going to take that little bit you gave them and not buy your offer. You as an expert understand that that's not enough for them to totally solve their problem, but they don't understand that. Do not give them that in that call, okay? Whatever you're thinking about, make the notes. You know, when you do discovery calls, you should be taking notes on what their problem is, who they are, and all the things. But as you get downloads on how to help them or what you want to include in the service, put it on that sheet and make notes about it. Let them know how excited you are to start applying these solutions. You've already started thinking of some things. However, you are not to share those things, okay? They get those things when they invest in themselves through you. That's when they get answers. That's when they get how to. That's when they get solutions, okay? So stop throwing in the kitchen sink and over there trying to convince, doing these free calls, and then wondering why people are not buying from you. You've already given them value, too much for free, all right? All right, let's go to number 7. Follow-up conversions, okay? What does this mean? This is the percentage of sales that you get after a client initially says no or doesn't make a decision right when you pitch the sale to them, okay? We already talked about last week that you should have some kind of follow-up sequence and follow-up system, and that the fortune is in the follow-up, all right? Everybody who doesn't say yes right away is not a no. So until they give you a no, and we do accept no's because no means no, okay? We accept a no, but until they give you a no, then you have license to continue to try to get them to make a decision, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to keep following up with them, and we're going to see how long does it take us, or how many sales does it take us after our first pitch of that sales. Because that's going to show you that fortune that is in the follow-up. Now you're getting a number for that fortune, all right? Success looks like a strong portion of sales close within the second or third touch point, right? So we're looking at our follow-up conversion as in, if we start with a 7 email sequence, you know what I'm saying, or 7 touch points after the pitch, we want to close the number of touch points it takes for us to get a yes. So if we got 7 in the funnel, we really kind of want to try to get them around 2 or 3 touch points, 2 or 3 emails. Let's go ahead and get you as a client. So our goal with follow-ups is to try to get them in less time, okay? In less time. So unsuccess looks like you're losing sales because there's no structured follow-up system. How you fix that is persistence paired with personalization is where lost opportunities turn into wins, okay? And all that means is, especially if you were on a discovery call, some of your follow-up doesn't have to just be left to the funnel. hey, get back in these folks' DMs and pull from the conversation that you had. That's why you made notes during that conversation. Okay. Go ahead and send them an email that's like, hey, I enjoyed talking to you. I'm looking forward to having you to, experience this, and whatever your service is a solution to. And I remember you saying you wanted to do this in the future. You had this goal, and I understand that I can help you to get that goal. Start having these conversations. And I'm going to tell you, I understand that you're not a salesperson, but these are conversations. Okay. These are opportunities for transformation. Stop looking at everything as sales, and you can't do it because you're not a quote unquote salesperson. You can talk, you can have conversations. So all you're doing is following back up about how you can help. All right. Number 8, discount dependency rate. Now I'm going to talk about this in a few ways, but what I mean right here is how many of your sales required you to add in that discount as an incentive for them to actually buy. Okay. Now, what this is talking about is during your follow-up, right? So you pitched your offer at the regular price, but during your follow-up, as a way to win this sale, you might have offered a discount that makes the offer a little cheaper, or you might have added more incentives to get them to go ahead and buy. We want to know how many clients did we get when we had to do that. Okay. So success looks like the majority of your clients purchase at the full price, not the discounted price. Unsuccessful looks like, oh, you only sold when you cut it down or you added in more stuff. All right. How can we change that? We're going to analyze whether or not our pricing psychology, okay, is out of sync with the offer. We're going to see, is there real alignment that makes discounts unnecessary. So if you have to take the price down, I feel like you haven't done a good job of showing and sharing the value of it. Okay. So keep that in mind. We don't want to take our price down to try to get people. I would rather you add in some bonuses that's coming from a passive income digital product or something like that to win the sale rather than take your price down. But if you have to get some money rather than no money, because let's be real, the way that things are today, sometimes we need some money rather than all the money with the economic status right now. If you have to do that, hey, do what you got to do. However, you don't want to be known for that, and you don't want that to be how your business makes money because it's not enough money. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Number 9, sales response time. Okay. This is some data we need to be getting. So what does it mean? How quickly you respond to the leads showing buying signals. Again, last week, we talked about email scoring leads. This week, we talked about the scoring leads on Monday, when we talked about what is the how is your marketing working to get these in? We talked about it when we talked about qualified leads. Are you scoring these people? Do you know that when somebody drops from tofu to mofu, and are they in first degree mofu or second degree mofu, when is the time to really focus on them to get them to make a decision? When is the time? Okay. We need to know that. So how quickly does it take a lead to start showing you they're really ready to make a buying decision so that you can follow up? Okay. Focus on them and help them to make a buying decision. Everybody's not ready, but those who are, do you even know who they are? Number 1. And number 2, are you reaching out to them in a way that forces them or helps them to make a buying decision? All right. So success looks like fast, consistent responses that maintain momentum. In other words, you know who they are. And when you reach out in a specific way, they're starting to buy. Unsuccessful means it takes you way too long to talk to these people. Unsuccessful means you don't even know who these people are. So there is no fortune in the follow-up for you, because sometimes you don't even know who you should be following up with. You're not paying attention to who is ready to be followed up with. So how do you change that? You need some kind of speed signals or some kind of system so that you're faster in following up with these people, so that you're faster in identifying these people. So let me give you an example, because I feel like this is too obscure. Okay. So an example would be, you're following me here on YouTube. Okay. So that's great. A lot of people can find me on YouTube, but how deep is your interest? Did you follow me on YouTube? And then when I tell you about the free business mastermind group, do you join the group? Okay. That can signal, you're still on tofu. All right. When you join the group and I tell you about the workshops and the intensives, right? Do you come to the intensives? All right. That's signaling to me that you were ready for this cross sale. You're right for the main offer. So I should be talking to you about the main offer. So if I am not following up with people that are coming to my workshops, coming to my intensives, and letting them know, hey, you got a transformation today. It was good. You got a feel for how I deliver all the things. But this transformation is not everything that you need to help you get to your first six figures. So what you need is my main offer. You need an actual roadmap where I go through your business and assess it and give you a custom roadmap for your business so that you can have the foundation for your first six figures. I should be having those conversations. So if you're new to me and you don't know about that main offer, I've never discussed that main offer with you, but you have been showing me signals. You went from YouTube to follow me on social media to joining my group to purchasing a affordable, tiny offer that is my workshops. I should be talking to you about my main offer. Okay, so that's an example. All right, number 10, objection resolution rate. Objection resolution rate. Now, this is that thing that makes us feel like we're not salespeople. Because when people tell us no, some of us just don't know where to go from there because we're not salespeople. But objection resolution rate. What is it? How effectively you turn their objection into a decision. Again, we just want a decision, a yes or a no. We want a decision. Okay. So success looks like most objections are addressed. And once they are, we get a yes. Okay. Unsuccess looks like they keep raising the same concerns or objections over and over again. They ghost us or they just say no. Okay, so how we can try to change that is we track what objections keep coming up over and over again and get their feedback about why our answer to that objection was not good enough. Okay, or what would have made them, what would they need to turn that no into a yes? You have to have these conversations because it's not rejection, it's not failure, it's fuel. And if you're just leaving that fuel out there that could be highly valuable for you to overcome future objections, that's not good. So, overcoming objections is not about getting somebody who wants to tell you no to say yes. That's con artistry. If you want to say no, just say no. And when they say no, leave them people alone. All right. But if they're not making a decision, they need more information to help them make the decision. So, have you done enough to show them the value of the offer? Have you done enough to help them to see that the pain points that they have are solved and eased in the offer? Have you done enough to show them how you're going to get them to the transformation? Have you done enough to empower them to help them to understand that they can get this transformation and with your help, they will? So that's what we're using these objections for. But we need to know, like, what is our resolution rate with these objections? How well are we handling these objections? So that's data that we need, because some of us may even need to invest in some kind of sales course to help us feel better about overcoming objections. But whatever it is you don't like about sales, whatever makes you feel dirty or muddy or unclean about selling because you associate it mentally with con artistry, I don't know what therapy you're going to need, but your business needs you to understand that you are giving people an opportunity. You're not out here selling ice to an Eskimo. That's con artistry. If you're selling something people don't need, then no, you should not be selling it and you should feel dirty. But if you're selling something that people need and you know you can help people, it is actually your duty and your purpose to help people. So you're having a decision conversation about a transformation that somebody needs. It is an opportunity. Okay. It is not something bad. It is not something negative. So get that out your mind. All right. Cool. We got 2 prompts. It's the same prompts we've been using all week. They are meant to be used on one of these strategies at a time. This one is going to help you to understand where you are with the strategy already. And then the next one is going to help you with recommendations to be better at that strategy. All right. So our questions of the day, let me grab these. And let me stop sharing so I can drop them in studio. We only got 2 members in studio today. That's Dr. Latoya and Dr. LaFera. And we're going to start with Dr. LaFera. Let me drop this in YouTube. Okay, cool. So the first question, let's see. The first question is, what sales data are you currently collecting and reviewing, if any? Okay. And the second question is, which of the 10 strategies that we talked about today around the sales conversion data that you should be collecting, reviewing, and making decisions on, do you think will help you in your particular business increase your revenue and have it be more consistent on purpose? Okay. So those are the questions. We're going to start with Dr. LaFera, but I'm going to share my screen again, go through just the data you should be collecting as a recap. So let me share my screen again. All right. So these are the top 10 strategies for data-driven decisions for increasing sales conversion. I'm going to remind you of the data point you should be collecting. We're not going to go through all the extra because this is just to try to help you to remember everything that was said. So the first data point, your sales conversion rate. Out of the people you are in front of, how many people are you on average getting to buy what you sell? Okay. Number 2, sales page engagement to purchase ratio. That is the people that are most engaged on your sales page. How many of those highly engaged people are you actually getting to buy? Okay. Number 3, close rate by offer. Each of your offers, there are some offers that are easier to sell. There are some offers that are harder to sell. And there are some offers that are simply not selling. We need to know that. Okay. Number 4, sales by channel. We are putting so much effort in email, DMs, and all these other places to sell our stuff. Which one of those places is selling better than the others? Average order value. Okay, average order value. This is how the average amount people are spending with you in one go round. Okay, and this is of course contingent on you having more than one offer that you're presenting to them at a time. So this is where your upsells, downsells, cross sales, and all that kind of stuff comes in. All right. Number 6 data point, discovery to close rate. A lot of us service providers do discovery calls. Out of those discovery calls that you're having, how many of those are you closing? What is that rate? You need to know. Number 7, follow-up conversion. Out of those people who don't say yes right away when you pitch that offer, during your follow-up sequences and efforts, how many of those people buy? And how long does it take you to get them to buy? Okay. Number 8, discount dependency rate. How many sales are you getting just because you gave them a discount? Okay. We don't want to start with discounts, but we understand we got to get some money rather than no money sometimes. And sometimes that takes a discount. I really would like that to be a rare occasion. However, do what you got to do. But when you do it, we need to know how many sales are dependent on you slashing your prices. All right. Number 9, sales response time. Okay. How quickly are you responding? Well, identifying leads that are ready for you to respond to, and how long is it taking you to respond to these people who are ripe for your offer and you haven't pitched them the offer yet? How long is your sales response time with these leads? Last but not least is number 10, the objection resolution rate. How good are you doing with overcoming objections? When somebody doesn't buy right away and you're having to help them to make a buying decision and they keep telling you the reasons that they feel like the problem with them buying, those are objections. So how are you resolving those, and what is your rate at absolving those? When they give you a objection, are you able to still get the sale or not? And how many of those are you able to get the sale from? All right, cool beans. Let's start with Dr. LaFera. First, Dr. LaFera, what sales data are you currently collecting and reviewing for data-driven decisions? And second question is, which out of the 10 strategies that we presented today do you think will help you to create more revenue consistently on purpose?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm going to start by saying that out of your comprehensive list of like 10 things, I probably...
It was comprehensive, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very comprehensive. And I have not been looking at my stuff like that since I am not like in my Shopify store like this. So I I would probably want to look more at like the website conversion rate, but like I have right now, I'm on Kartra, and I know you said that Microsoft Clarity, but
Mhm.
I want to know if that's like for WordPress only. Because if it's not, then I could be using that. Um, and then I don't like doing discounts. So I just
Mhm.
try to add stuff to it, like if I have to, but like because right now I'm getting ready to sunset. Well, I'm not sunsetting an offer. I'm getting ready to make it more hands off so I can focus more on my B2B stuff. Because like I'm not gonna be chasing people who say they're ready and
Mhm.
they can join, but like that's not my priority. That's not, so I'm
Yeah.
switching up priorities. I'm
Love it.
still talking about the same stuff, but to a different, people who can or will be willing to pay more because it link more to money. So,
Yes.
yeah, those are my answers.
Cool beans. So I'm not sure if Microsoft Clarity works on sites that are not WordPress. So I'll
Hmm.
let you research that. But
Hmm.
also there is a paid heat map for websites called Hotjar.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so that could be an alternative, but I don't even know if they do websites that are not WordPress. So they
Uh-huh. I might
um
have to get a non-word. I mean, yeah, WordPress site made. I can go on Fiverr and do that.
yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. Especially when there's already a version out there, it's just on another platform. That makes it easier. Like that shouldn't even take that long.
The WordPress, getting the WordPress made.
Mm-hmm. Because there's already a site they're pulling from.
And it would be probably prettier too, like especially the blog part. Because I don't like my blog part.
I mean, it depends. WordPress comes with some basic WordPress themes in there
Yeah.
that helps you to build it. For me, I'm a Divi girl, Divi. I have
Mhm.
Divi theme, which allows me to make my web pages look like any web page out there. It's a
Okay.
builder that allows you to put sections in there that is on
Hmm.
anybody else's website. So
And this is a plugin for WordPress.
it it's a theme.
Oh, a theme. Okay.
It's the whole theme. And so if when you think about themes, think about the entire framework of where how the page layouts will be, where you can put pictures, where you can put a button, where you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I do.
most themes is set. You got to put a big picture here. You got to put this there and that there. You know what I'm saying? But that's
Yeah.
the thing. With Divi, you can build it the way you want to. It's almost like drag and drop. So yeah. Dr. Latoya said I use Divi on my WordPress sites. Yes, I love Divi. Now, Divi is not cheap. Some themes are $20, $30, $60. I think Divi is about $200 too. Well, you know what? I've had my Divi for so many years. I don't even know how much it is these days. I just know that it was worth it for me, and I've been using it. And once you get your Divi, the one that I have at least, I can build any website using Divi because I have my Divi download stuff. So any WordPress I build in the future, I can use it. Um, Dr. LaFera said I paid $1,200 for a Shopify site I don't use a lot right now. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna leave that red there. Cause nope. But that's Divi, Divi. It is for WordPress. It is a theme. Divi has its own plugins that you can add, but you can also add other plugins for WordPress. The theme doesn't block you from using plugins, but it is just a very comprehensive theme that allows you to build your website the way that you want to. All right, let's go to Dr. Latoya. Dr. Latoya, you can start off by, did you want to add anything else about Divi before I ask you the questions of the day?
Nope.
Cool beans. All right. So the first question is, what sales data are you currently collecting and reviewing? And the second question is, which from the 10 strategies that we talked about today do you think will help you to create more revenue consistently on purpose?
I am currently not collecting, or I should say, looking at data. So none. And I think the sales page engagement rate is
Mm-hmm.
actually going to be my best thing. I've actually realized over the past few months I've been my biggest barrier, right? People, there have been ways, I always say you don't like to put barriers in between how people can give you money.
Yes.
And my pages have been doing that. But had I been
Mm.
looking at sales page engagement rate, I would have identified it sooner that there was something happening on the page. So I am definitely now locked into figuring out how to do this.
Most definitely. And so in simpler words, what Dr. Latoya is saying is you're supposed to make it easy for people to give you their money, right? So that could look like a lot of you putting a whole bunch of content on your sales page, but the buy button is at the bottom. So they got to scroll all the way down, and then you got the nerve to have a long ass sales page, and they got to go all the way down through all that stuff when they decided at the top to buy. But you making it hard for them to find the button to just click and buy. So that's one way. And so how to solve that is you can have sections, and each section has a buy button. Okay, or each section takes them down to the buy section. So that's one thing. Another thing could be some of y'all are requiring discovery calls. There's no buy button and a link to book a call to talk about it. Instead, you only got the link to the call to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you. I've already decided I'm ready to buy. Where's the button for me to buy? Right? So you need to make things easy for people to give you their money, because if they got to fight with you to give you money, they not finna do it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I love that, Dr. Latoya, that you brought that up, because that was a great thing to bring up. Cool beans. All right. So yeah, today I'm gonna tell you, what we talked about in part one was marketing and getting in new leads and the data you need to be looking at. And that data, it's worth you taking the time to collect, review, and make decisions on, because if you don't have new people coming in and you've already tried to get a yes or a no from the people that already know you, then asking the same people over and over again is not going to grow your business. That's why that part was important. Right. And then yesterday we talked about part two, which is sales qualified leads. All leads are not good leads. And we need to be focusing on getting more and more of good leads. Not just, we don't want everybody. We don't want anybody. Okay. We don't want just anybody. We want the right people that will actually buy from us, so that when we're taking our time to send these emails, when we're taking our time to do this content and all the stuff, it takes a lot of time for us as solopreneurs and people with a small team to do. It is actually going to pay us back, because we are doing it for people that will buy from us. So those data points and reviewing them and making decisions based on them are important. And then today, the data points that's telling us how our sales are doing and giving us information on what kind of tweaks and pivots we need to be making. This is what's going to bring us more money. It is worth the time that it takes to collect this stuff, review this stuff, and make decisions based on this stuff. Okay. Now, tomorrow, what we're going to talk about is lifetime value. So today we kind of dipped a toe in it with average order value, and I'm going to hit that again tomorrow a little harder in that perspective. But some of us are not making enough money because we haven't done everything we could do for a client, which will increase their lifetime value to us. Okay. So not how much they paid in one order, but how much they will pay over the lifetime of them being connected to us. All right. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But based on marketing for new leads, based on sales qualified leads and sales conversion data, all that data, does anybody have any questions, any value adds, or any aha moments about that stuff? Cool beans. Let me see. So, Dr. LaFera, I do have a question. Look, since it's only two of you today, I can have a conversation. And I love that it is at least two people who understand business in a way that you understand how these things can affect your business. Dr. LaFera, based on what we've talked about so far this week on this data, that we need to be collecting, reviewing, and making decisions on, what do you feel like is the value of this conversation on your business? And you're muted if you're talking to us.
I heard you calling my name, I thought, when I was brushing my teeth, but like, I mean, so you said what did I think that the value
So
this
yeah,
week for my business was?
of this data that we're talking about this week, collecting it, reviewing it, and making decisions based upon it. What do you think the value is of this conversation to your business?
I think that the value of this information this week is going to help me to be more intentional and stop sitting in a place trying to figure something out, like when the data has already figured it out for me.
Oh, there you
Because
go.
I waste a lot of time, trying to figure stuff out when all I got to do is sometimes look at the numbers. And I've been doing that on social media, but I haven't been doing that like on website because I kind of neglected the website thing for like
Mhm.
sales pages. But yeah, if I did that with like the structure that you gave and breaking stuff down into like the different compartments like you did,
Mhm.
it would make me more organized and more intentional about the decisions that I make.
Love it. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay, let me get Dr. Latoya Davis's opinion. All of this stuff we're talking about with this data, what you should be collecting, reviewing, and making decisions upon. What do you think the value is going to be to your business?
Well, I think ironically, or not ironically, because nothing's ironic, but just like last week when you were talking about the emails and the nurturing, like, and last week was I was literally on rebuilding my emails and my nurture sequences and all of that. This week, the focus has been because I completely rebuilt my website,
Mhm.
um, being intentional. So it's like after yesterday's call, I went and I made sure I added the Google Analytics in the tags to make sure that I'm popping up. Today, I'm going to go through and do like the Microsoft Clarity, and so it's just for me. It's part of the problem before. It's kind of like once the mess is already rolling, like I was
Mhm.
really discouraged to kind of go in and untangle the mess,
Yeah.
and I feel like now I'm building it out while you're talking about it, and it feels very clear and like literally aligned. Like I called you and I said, "This is what I'm working on," and you was like, "Okay, this is what we're gonna talk about."
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I absolutely love that for me.
Yes.
And I think because right now my focus is on building or getting new clients because um, I've been able to rely on my old clients, but like you said today, they already said no, right? And so now it's like in order to grow, I absolutely have to shift and pivot to bring new people in. And so these metrics are going to be able to help me to build so much faster and
Mhm.
convert faster and be able to pivot a lot faster than I have in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, it's crazy because one of the things that I did um was I was like, okay, I know the majority of my time needs to be spent in getting new people into awareness of me. So that's tofu, right? And then the next amount of time needs to be on nurturing. And then the smallest amount of time is going to be in, actually helping people make a buying decision. Now, why do those numbers go like that? Because that's how the funnel goes. It's more people up here that we need in tofu, right? So I need to spend a lot of time up here to get more people. And then, it's the next volume of people is going to be in nurturing. So I need to spend a lot of time nurturing. And what we know is the people that's going to fall to the bottom to be bofu is not going to be as many people that's in mofu and tofu. That's why it's a funnel shape, right? So I had ChatGPT and I was like, look, I need to work on my if I look at the amount of time that I spend on, this tofu, mofu, bofu, I want to spend at least 20 hours a week, right? On tofu, mofu, bofu. Cuz other hours I got to service clients, I got to do other things, right? So I'm saying I want at least 20 hours a week to be that. Then I said, okay, I want 50% of that time to be tofu. I want 30% of that time to be mofu. And I want 20% of that time to be bofu. And I had to tell me how much time to spend, calculate how much time out of the 20 hours, how much time is that spending on each one of those categories to kind of build out a schedule where I'm doing this stuff, right? So, what we also have to do is say, how much time am I going to give daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually to this data points because we're looking at it in different ways by the duration, right? So daily, we could be looking at things like how are we getting in new leads, right? We can look at, are they qualified leads weekly? We can look at, what is the sales conversions looking at monthly? But we need to be putting this stuff on our calendar and we need to give it an assignment of what exactly are the data points we're going to look at and when and in what time slot and how often. So I think that's what a lot of us are missing. It's just like anything else. We know we need to do it, but if you're not intentional and about putting it on your calendar, then you're not going to get what you want. You're going to get what you calendar. So you got to actually put it on the calendar. So I think that that's what we got to do, y'all. So cool. I'm glad to hear that from you guys. I love when y'all affirm and confirm what I feel like is valuable and what I feel like will be game changing for your business and your business growth and you making more money in that business, because our overall goal is for you to definitely get to your first 6 figures and beyond. Okay. So with that, I want to remind you guys to save the date. Saturday, October the 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time is our fall boot camp intensive. It is the Foo Fighters 2.0 marketing to fund your freedom. Let me tell you more about what this is, because this is us creating that actual workflow of all the things we need to be doing in our business so that we are actually making the money that is going to fund the freedom we want. Okay. So this is about the workflow from the marketing to the sales. Okay. So that's what we are doing. So save the date. My goal is to have that link ready for you guys on Monday at the latest, but we'll see. But with that, this has been the Her First Six Figures Morning Show, which is an interactive coaching and training experience as part of our free business mastermind group that positions Black and Brown female online service-based entrepreneurs to generate your first 6 figures by learning how to make the money and create time freedom. Find out more about me, your host, Shay Cannon, plus get links to resources like how to join the free business mastermind group and how to get the show notes with the strategies from like today and recent past episodes. Well, you want to know how to do it? Go to the description below. If you have not already, give us a thumbs up and like this episode. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and understand that today's episode is one video out of a 4-video series. You want the whole thing. So check out the other videos. And with that, the studio is closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a great day. We'll see you.